What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Heather Spear, presented to you by NoleGameDay.com. Hope everyone is having a great evening. It's been a beautiful day in Tallahassee. Definitely beautiful for some football. A little cool breeze in the air this morning over by the practice fields in Doak Campbell Stadium during Florida State's practice. We are enjoying a bye week. Florida State's on a 2-game winning streak. And we didn't get to hear from Austin last week to give his feelings about Florida State going up there and upsetting North Carolina. I believe Austin, we'll talk about it in just a few. Anyways, gentlemen, with me this evening is Austin Veazey, lead basketball writer, was just at the ACC Tipoff, putting in some good work there. Dustin Lewis, our lead writer and editor down below, and then Nate Greer, lead recruiting insider. Everybody looks just absolutely exhausted, dead. We've hit the middle of the season. It's probably how everybody should be looking. It is a very busy year so far. Everybody looks dead. Good thing. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. But yeah, hope everybody's doing good. As always, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I got the energy. I'm amped up. I mean, I'm like on 200 milligrams of caffeine. I'm feeling great. Gentlemen, how we doing? Bye week, 2-game winning streak, and we look like this? We haven't had one of these in years.
Some of us have jobs, and I've been up since 5:30 in the morning, man. Ready to get this done. Let's go.
Oh my God!
Here's the thing, y'all are in the middle of the season. I'm starting my season, and I'm already tired. So we're in for a long one.
I'm glad it's a bye week. Let's just say that.
Dang.
Yeah, I need it. Yeah, my Twitter thumbs need it.
Yeah, all that tweeting, all that trash talking, huh? Oh my God, God forbid. Austin. Well, a lot of. I know you're tired tonight, but hopefully that will get you a little feisty. A lot of things we got to talk to you about, and even Dustin too. But Austin, we didn't get to get your first instant reaction. Now you can do a full recap. We'll give last thoughts on the North Carolina game where Florida State went up to Chapel Hill, won 35-25, scored 21 points in the second quarter there. But we'll do that. We'll talk about that. Third quarter. Wait, what's second quarter?
You're right. I don't know. It's bye week.
All right, Dustin, mute the mic for 10 minutes. You got to take
You're in timeout, Dustin. Holy shit.
You're on. God almighty, the production meeting and now this. We've got to get him on something. Well, never mind. Brian Robinson transferring after Florida State's win up there in Chapel Hill. Treshawn Ward graded as a top running back in the country. Jermaine Johnson getting some love and some accolades as a semifinalist for the Lombardi Trophy. We'll talk about practice observations and FSU schedule for the rest of the week. And that'll kind of condense football there. We are going to be introducing a new big-time sponsor to Hear the Spear for the next couple months. And then we've got basketball, like I mentioned earlier. Austin was up there in Charlotte for the ACC Tipoff. Terrence Mann just signed a big-time contract there with the Clippers. More to come, I think, for him, too. And then Mfiondu Kelly. Oh, my God. Kabengele. I should just say that. Mfiondu Kabengele. Don't even laugh. I love how Dustin's laughing. Kabengele gets waived by the Cavaliers. But after that, there's nothing else to talk about. It'll be a nice, quick, and easy pod and show for everyone this evening. So, Veazey, how do you feel about that Florida State win up there in Chapel Hill? Mike Gravel's first road win.
It was good. I mean, they were doing things that we haven't seen Florida State do all year. They're putting guys in motion and get them open. They're using the run game to set up the pass, which we've been talking about, especially that first touchdown on Terry Wilson. They bit so hard North Carolina bit so hard on that RPO, sucked in the defense, and all Travis had to do was say, oh, okay, that corner, that safety is second down. I can just throw it to a spot. When you do stuff like that, it's simple. These guys aren't the best route runners, so when you're able to scheme looks like that open, it makes a world of difference. Even that second touchdown on Terry Wilson was just a great play design to call it pick play, but do it correctly, where guys are still moving. They're not blocking right away. They just did so many great things to scheme guys open looks. And I think that's important for a team that doesn't have a lot of separation skill, doesn't have top end speed as fast, but doesn't have top end speed. Dillingham and Norvell did an exceptional job just scheming around North Carolina, find ways to get guys open. And then the running game was fantastic. Treshawn Ward was bouncing off blocks. Jordan Travis was using his legs exceptionally. It was a good all-around performance. The defense didn't get after Howell as much as I thought they would. But but Jaron Jones came away with a big interception in the red zone. I thought that showed great growth from him. Overall, very solid game. Very solid game.
Yeah, and looking back on it, I mean, the biggest thing to me, at least offensively, is 41 rushing attempts to only 13 passing attempts. Florida State, they really went with that ground and pound mantra, and they mixed in the passes, when it was available. And we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Florida State shouldn't run the ball all the time because teams are going to stack the box. In this game, they didn't care if North Carolina stacked the box. They were like, we're going to run it down your throat, and it doesn't really matter. And, I mean, they did it all night. Credit to them.
And they're doing good things in the run game, giving misdirections. Like, I forget exactly which play it was, but there's so many misdirections where you're having a guard pulling and you have Jordan Wilson coming to seal a guy off. There was a lot of that happening. It was just a really good job by the coaching staff. Find ways to get guys in open space.
Yeah. Jordan Travis was efficient. Did what he had to do. The offense, I thought, like Austin said, they just did a great job of executing. Game plan was really good. I think that the defense was getting a little frustrated for a little bit with Howell not getting to him, but they still put pressure on him. The big thing that sticks out to me is that when FSU got down 10-0, they went on a 31-7 scoring run, which pretty much ended that game. So I'm really happy with what I saw from that game. So they took a punch and they punched back, and that's a good thing to build on moving forward. It seems like that the players are really buying into what Norvell's saying and doing, and you can just tell by the interaction with him and the players, and even earlier this week with his birthday and everything, you can tell that there's some true effort and respect is starting to come through, and they're playing harder for him. So it's good to see that progress.
Yeah, no, I do think this team they really do like their coach. I know they were trying to celebrate after the game and pour Powerade over him and everything, and he wasn't really feeling that, but they just wanted to celebrate with their coach. But they worked their tails off during practices, and so to get a win like that, a big one on the road, and a lot of people doubting them, like the players talked about after the game, a lot of people did not have Florida State winning this game whatsoever, but to go up there and beat them, that creates even more confidence that this team needs. And, Norvell had mentioned that this is a new team, he feels like, and they kind of maybe are hitting a turnaround, which is much needed because the second half of this season is no joke. I know maybe some of the, your Clemson isn't the same kind of Clemson. Miami is Miami this year, kind of going back to their old roots, and Florida isn't up there like maybe how it was last season, but still these are games where Florida State has struggled, definitely against rivalries and against Clemson. We know that, but they need this kind of momentum to go forward in the season. And you got to like that, guys in the DB room are making plays, offensive line doesn't allow a sack. That's something Norvell talked about today in the presser. There's just there's growth. It's a little bit slower than they thought it would be, but they're happy that there is growth overall. And that's going to be the biggest thing for this team moving forward and maturing overall, and penalties going down. That's been a good streak that they've been on. They've got to continue that, and that helps so much. I believe North Carolina had 12 penalties for about 110 yards, where Florida State only had 5. And, that's still something they want to work on. That was still 50 yards, but still they're wanting to work on that and get better at it. But you're seeing a slow growth that a lot of the coaching staff, Coach Woodson talked about it today after practice, that, it hasn't been rapid growth, and we knew that wasn't going to happen. It's happened a little bit later than they had thought, but they're really happy that this maturity, growth, and playing smarter on the field is happening. It is happening. That's something that they are acknowledging.
I think we mentioned it on the instant reaction, just I don't think it's a coincidence that since they had the refs at practice, the penalties have dropped significantly, and even like the situational penalties have dropped. So you have to give kudos to Norvell and his staff for making that call, getting them, exposure in real game situations in practice. So for me, one thing that while you were talking, Logan, that popped in my head was like, we didn't see Parchment this past weekend, which I think kind of speaks to where I think the offense is going back to some of its veterans in the offense, just to maybe have a little bit of continuity. Maybe guys that have played together now for a year and a half or 2 years, close to 2 years now. I thought that was interesting to see that Parchment got very little to no playing time. And you look at the DB room. I know we had some. Florida State had some injuries, and that kind of limited the rotation, which I think we've all been calling on. I want to see that continue. So, I really like the progress of Jerry and Jones. I thought he played really well. Brownlee, I mentioned him in the 3-up. Another great game for him. I think after maybe a little bit of a rough start to the season, he's really coming into his own. It is probably the most consistent defensive back that this team has. He's the only guy who started every game. So, he's really maturing into one of the, it's arguable, but I think you can say he's one of the better DBs in the ACC right now. That's just the way he's playing. You got to like that because, Florida State's banged up on the other side. Dotson, Travis Jay's been in and out and been in the doghouse a little bit. So, they're not getting consistent play opposite Brownlee. So at least they have half the field that's getting consistent play. And then, still really question again, back-to-back weeks where when you see 33 in the game and the defense struggles. So, I'd like to see maybe a different situation for him, maybe be towards the line more as a pass rusher because he continues to struggle in space. So, but a lot of positives to take away from that game.
Yes, so just a couple of comparisons to the Wake Forest game, which is our only other road comparison so far this year. In that game, Florida State had 7 penalties and was just 1 of 6 on third down. Then you go to Chapel Hill, 5 penalties, and you're 7 of 10 on third down. Penalties still got to get handled a little bit, but you're seeing a ton of growth, both discipline-wise and just staying ahead of the sticks. When you're going 7 to 10 on third downs because you're putting yourself in good situations. And the biggest thing is you had 6 turnovers in that Wake Forest game. We didn't have a single one against North Carolina. That's how you win ball games in a game where you're 17-point underdogs.
And I'm sorry, FSU is what they are right now. Wake Forest is an ultra talented team. They're really well coached. Florida State had just as much to do with that loss than what Wake Forest did. So, it's a good point that you see just a difference in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a huge difference, especially, in my opinion, the offense over the last 2 weeks. You haven't killed yourself with turnovers. You only had the 1 against Syracuse. You had none against North Carolina. You guys have talked about the penalties. And then you look at the red zone opportunities, 6 of 6 against Syracuse, 3 of 3 against North Carolina. And they're also starting to put these long drives together with that running attack. I think it was 3 drives of 72 yards or longer against UNC that also ate up a ton of clock and kept Sam Howell on the sideline, gave the defense some rest, and, helped keep the UNC offense out of a rhythm.
I'm not ready to say that Noles is going to be better than Asante Samuel yet. I think that's a little bit jumping the gun, but I think he will be a good DB. But, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and it just, it needs to be mentioned again, that Florida State allowed 0 sacks and 0 quarterback pressures.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when's the last time that's happened.
No.
Yeah,
that's what I was
really
saying.
It helps when you're only throwing the ball 13 times, but
helps to get your starting center back too, I think.
Yeah. And this is for a couple of series. There was the first time you've had a healthy offensive line pretty much all year until Love Taylor went down.
But there was no drop off, and when you watch, we watched Steve and I kind of did a rewatch, and if you watch Bavian come in, the offensive line played better with him in there. So that was good to see that there was no drop off from Love Taylor, who is still banged up. He's still pushing through injury. So
yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. He's a good, like you said, he's a good plug and play. He's been in this program for 5 or 6 years. And, he hasn't looked great at center, but honestly, guard is his natural spot. And I think having him right there next to Maurice Smith, it worked out, especially to have the other guys around him as well. That was as healthy as the offensive line has been, and heck, since the season opener.
Mm-hmm. Defensively, I think Florida State, the biggest takeaway is that they get to actually have time. Florida State was sustaining drives on offense, and Norvell talked about that being a huge thing for the team overall. And it helps each other out on both sides of the field and allows the defense to sit there and talk with their position coach, be able to look at film, be able to, actually have time to rest too. I mean, that's also a major key too. And, getting the defense off the field, offense sustaining drives is huge for Florida State. And that defense, I think it's helped a lot and able to definitely, when you're facing a threat at quarterback, like a guy named Sam Howell, that allows those DBs to understand what kind of concepts they're running, the scheme that they're running, and be able to lock down. I mean, you talked about him during the instant reaction, Nate Brownlee. We didn't talk about him that much because, he was doing a good job in coverage on his guy. For the most part. And, that's something that he's struggled with. We've seen Travis J also struggle too in that early part of the season. Remember, we were giving a lot of heat to Travis J early on in this season. We haven't been doing much. He hasn't been really on the talk of shame. He hasn't been playing as much. Well, I think they've been using him in using him in a better situation than maybe.
Well, he's been hurt. He's been in the doghouse. So you got to do the right stuff on and off the field. So. Let's call it what it is.
Well, I had to deal with that too in high school. I had to do a lot of things after practice, and it wasn't so fun. My elbows hurt a lot, and my toes did. So, but overall, though, at least since those games where we're harping on him, hasn't been a lot. I mean, and look at the return too. I mean, his return and the kickoff return. You've been talking a lot of trash about it on Twitter, Nate. He had a nice return, and you want somebody that explodes there and has that get off.
Yes,
and that was a huge, and that helped that drive so much.
Longest return of the season.
Started the drive. That's what started that drive for Florida State to go down the field and score a touchdown.
Yeah, it's after they got down 10-0. So
yep,
that
started got it to the 41, right?
Yep.
It's the longest return of the season, I think.
Right there with Renz during Notre Dame, got to be right around the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think far and away, the difference between last year and this year is the defensive line. People were a little concerned about the names that were lost with, Wilson and Kane Doe and Robinson, and that's great. But they get whatever.
Well, that's what they were saying.
So anyways, just the way the defensive line is playing this year is just tremendous. We're going to talk about Johnson here in a second. Keir Thomas, Fabian Lovett's taking the next step. He's been dominant at times. Dennis Brooks was playing really well before he got hurt on a cheap shot. Malcolm Ray's come on and provided a lot of great minutes. Jared Jackson's done really well. Robert Cooper's been pretty solid this year. So you have to look at that defensive line and just, they are playing probably the best in 5 years or so. If you look at it, since you have a consistent pass rush the first time since Brian Burns, you're getting pressure inside. It's great to see. So,
did you mention Malcolm Ray? I might have missed it. Yeah, Malcolm Ray's came in. He talked to the media today, had media availability, and he coming in and playing well and solid for a thin group is huge. But yeah, this defensive line has just stayed consistent on wreaking havoc there, not only the pass rush, but also in the running game. I mean, that place, that middle of the line there almost collapses, and a majority of the games so far. And love it. Farmer's getting in there too, young freshman. I mean, that's just a young freshman. I mean, get ready to see what he does next season. There's a lot of optimism for that guy.
Well, would love to have Johnson and Keir Thomas for one more year, man. That'd be great.
God, yes.
But
one more COVID year, please.
Is it coming back?
That's going to bode well, though, for FSU to show proof to the transfers here when the transfer rush starts to happen again. Hey, two guys came in and improved their draft stock and had great years. You can do the same because, let's keep it 100. Florida State still has to continue to build this team right now through the transfer portal.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, there's multiple guys I can point to, Nate. I mean, Deshaun Corbin came in as a transfer. Fabian Lovett. I think Jamie Robinson has played pretty well the last 2 weeks. So you look at it, I mean, Jarian Jones, a lot of guys that are making impacts for Florida State right now are guys that Norvell has brought in via that transfer portal since he got to Tallahassee.
Even Travis came in through the portal. Milton. You look at the constant contributors of this team. So I know he's been, hasn't had a ton of catches, but you look at Wilson at tight end. He's playing a ton. So
been good in blocking. Yeah.
Yep.
Vontae Love Taylor.
Yeah.
Gibbons.
Cortez Andrews got some time in early. And we haven't seen much of him, which is kind of weird to see. But I think it's more about the teams that FSU's playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because DJ Lundy and Kalen DeLoach have stepped up. I mean, they've both been pretty solid by all accounts.
Yeah, Lundy had a big hit today. Right with Wilson. He and Wilson went at it. Jordan Wilson was coming right at him for a block, and DJ Lundy. It's crazy to think. You're talking about two ginormous guys with physicality coming to hit, and Lundy
on a bye week, mind you. I mean, can we calm down here?
Well, I called Dustin after the practice, and he is so worried, and I understand he is so worried. But they are going to get a lot of time off until Sunday. But this team.
We got full pads on a bye week.
I love it.
2-4, Dustin. 2-4, Dustin. 2-4.
3-6
last year. It don't matter what the hell.
It don't matter, man.
Saying give them a day off
because they went up there and beat North Carolina.
But look how many missed tackles they also had against North Carolina.
They got work to do.
But they had a ton of missed tackles, so
you got to put it. Sam Howell had over 100 yards.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They still got to improve.
And it's the same week
defending quarterback draws because you go back to Syracuse and especially Louisville. I mean, quarterbacks are just running all over us. There's no reason Sam Howell should go for 100 yards on the ground. He's athletic, but come on, man.
Yeah, you look at Schrader. I don't know how many freaking missed tackles they had, but so let's approach the subject. Florida State is at the midpoint, 2-4. You mentioned it earlier, Logan. The back end of the schedule was always the toughest part.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about in the early in the preseason stuff how Florida State's got to get off to a great start because of how tough the back end was. Now you look at that back end, and it doesn't seem as tough as it is, as it was at the start of September. So now you have people talking about 6-6 being a possibility. So what do you guys think? Is that
there's a path?
Is that out of the realm of possibility? What would your over/under be percentage-wise that FSU can get to 4, to 4-2 in his last 6 and get to a bowl game?
I wouldn't say it's likely, but I would say there's a path. I mean, obviously we all expect UMass to be a win. Clemson's not as strong as anybody anticipated, but I don't think any of us are expecting a win. Miami's not it, especially with Tierra King going down. NC State's looked a little bit better, but we'll see. At Boston College, playing against the backup quarterback, that could very easily be a win. We'll have to see how they're playing. And then Florida doesn't look as tough as they've been.
So
I think you beat UMass and Miami for sure to get to 4. Then you got still a game here and there.
So I think when you look at that, I don't know if Clemson's the toughest game left on the schedule. I would say Florida. Yeah. Just Florida's not a great team, but Dan Mullen. Yeah, Dan Mullen has. Say what you want about him on the recruiting trail, he's awful, but the X's and O's part, he's really good, and he's put it on FSU the last couple of years because he kind of has to, because FSU can recruit better than he can, so he's got to show it on the field that it's a better program. So he's purposeful in trying to put it on FSU. I think UMass, for sure. You look at NC State. I think that's a winnable game. That's going to be a tough game, but it's winnable. I think Boston College now with their quarterback out, I think that's winnable. I do think it's going to be tough, but I don't think it's improbable. You're going to have to beat Clemson or Florida. If you lose to NC State, you're going to have to win one of those games to get to 6. So I think if they can get there, it's a hell of a job by Norvell.
I think they get to 5. UMass, Miami, then they steal one. I'll say they steal one at Boston College. And then you're there at the end of November going, man, I really wish we put 8 people on the goal line against Jacksonville State.
God.
Yeah.
But
I will say,
I feel like right now that's where we'll get to. We'll see entering the Clemson week.
Yeah, I'm feeling about 5 as well. And I mean, that was my record prediction coming into the season. I don't think we're going to get there the way that I expected, but
a little different. I'd love to go back and listen to the preseason prediction.
What's your over under? 50%, 40%, 30.
That they win 6?
Yeah.
I'd say probably like 30, 35% that they go 4-2.
I would say like 25. 20 to 25%.
4-2 in the last 6 to make it to 6-6 overall.
That's tough.
Oh, man, we're everywhere.
Yeah, it's tough, especially with 4 road games. That's tough.
Mm-hmm. This.
And there goes Nate when he's talking, as usual.
Perfect time.
3 road games. 3 road games.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Oh yeah, my bad.
3.
Yeah, my bad. I was
all right.
All
these logos are messing me up.
I got 40%. Me. What have I done? I got 40%, Nate. I got 40%.
I got 36.75.
Here we go.
Okay.
I like it.
I think Florida State wins again. They shouldn't. And by me saying that, that's Florida or Clemson. If you can get hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you had that Carolina performance, if against a Wake or Louisville, I think that's a W. But Florida State's put themselves in this position. It's going to be interesting to see if they can dig out of it.
Let's answer a question real quick on here, real quick. This is from Johnny Burkett on YouTube asking, what do y'all think about Jimbo doing Jimbo things, beating good teams but lose to the teams they shouldn't lose to?
He's been in a tough spot this year with their starting quarterback going down. Got a lot of freshmen O-line. They're in a tough spot, and it's I wouldn't say it's unexpected, but you can foresee it happening.
I've always thought that Jimbo was going to be the assistant to beat him first. I'm surprised it was this team because, like Austin said, they're on their second string quarterback. They're starting 2 true freshman offensive linemen. Their defense hasn't been that great. I think the biggest takeaway out of that game is that Alabama's defense is not good. Like
because they kept putting that safety on 6, and 6 was torching them.
But even against Ole Miss was, towards the end, Alabama's defense is very susceptible. So I'm really eager to see, if they make it to the championship game. Georgia right now, I think is far and away the best team in the country right now. We'll see if Kirby can, pull that out of his. If Kirby can pull that out of his butt, but we'll see. I mean, I think Jimbo's a good coach, and while I would love him to stay at FSU, he has his blunders. So watch him go out and lose to Vanderbilt. That's just that's how it happens.
Oh my God!
Beat Bama and look good, look good, and then go and score 7.
The quarterback was slinging it against Bama. He's made some unbelievable throws that game.
And he got hurt. He tweaked his knee and stayed in there and toughed it out.
That play he hurt his knee on was as good of a throw as you'll ever see. I mean, pockets collapsing. He's thrown it to a spot, and he puts it on the money in the corner of the end zone. That was an amazing throw.
Yep. that was a fun game to watch, But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see if the Fighting Jimbos can get to 8 or 9 wins, which I don't know if they'll be able to.
Hey, Jimbo's going to LSU, so.
Huh?
Whoa.
Jimbo's going to LSU.
If I'm LSU, man, I'm calling Billy Napier.
Yeah.
First call, I'm picking up the phone, calling Louise and Lafayette, and be like, "Hey, the guy can recruit. He's a good coach."
I'm just saying the connection is there.
Yeah, but
supposedly the money's not so crazy contracted at Texas A&M with Jimbo. With Jimbo's agent's a smart guy. He seems like he's done pretty good for himself.
Just the people at Texas A&M are nuts.
Also,
they're crazy. That's all they got to do in College Station. That is literally it. I've been there. It is literally that's all they have.
LSU is being watched right now.
Boring.
You got LSU with, a possible investigation and everything. I can't really see Jimbo putting himself in that situation. Everything with the Darius Geis stuff and all that, Title 12, whatever.
If he was able to go through the Jameis year and win a natty,
it's not his mess. So
I'll give it to him.
Yeah, but look what happened the year after, man. He looked awful, and that team was just made you want to pull your hair out.
I'll take a playoff appearance. All right, next question. Jen Ferry, do we need a new receivers coach or just a better receivers overall, or both?
Both.
Good, easy answer there.
So Florida State needs to go get Grant Hurd from Indiana.
You like him?
He's phenomenal. Great coach, great recruiter. Man, that'd be my number one on the board for sure. Or put Coach Johnson at wide receiver and go get Jawan Cedar, coach running backs.
I would like that. That's a good move. But heck, people have been talking about bringing Cedar back to Florida forever, and it hasn't happened yet. It's going to take something. It's going to take a good offer to lure him away from Penn State.
Michael's making a good point here. Jimbo did go to LSU, Florida State. Well, you would be starting. Now here we go. It would be. Let's just put in the I don't know, kind of scenario here. Not real scenario. Maybe it is. Jimbo to LSU this offseason. Coach O's fired. He goes to LSU, and then it'll be Norvell versus Jimbo this upcoming opener in New Orleans.
I'm still mad that LSU.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm still mad that series isn't home and home. Why are we?
Oh my God, I know.
An hour and a half away.
I would have loved to go to Death Valley.
That's a bucket list trip to Death Valley.
A night game at Death Valley is a must for me.
And it would have been beautiful if Coach O gets fired and Jimbo gets swings on over there.
So supposedly, the internets and the rumor mill, Jimbo, has some regrets leaving Florida State. Do you see him doing the same thing up and then leaving again for LSU? I don't know. I guess there's always been the tie to LSU, and then the guy that hired him at A&M is not at LSU. I get all that, but do you really see him up and then leaving again after having another great recruiting class last year, and having another one this year? I don't know, man.
It's a little different situation because he had built so much of Florida State coming off of Bobby's legacy. He had made that program his. Whereas with Texas A&M, he's only been there a couple of years. He hasn't won a national championship there. He hasn't even won a conference championship there. Congrats, you beating Bama, but that's the end of your accomplishments there.
It's his fourth year there.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit different. He doesn't have the same ties as he does to Florida State, where he was there for.
Plus, LSU doesn't have that oil money.
Yeah, that's true. They got that swamp money.
LSU's got that crawfish money.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. It kind of seemed like Jimbo was a little bit on the outs with Texas A&M fans so far this season, but the win against Bama, that obviously
him up.
That has secured his
that
status.
Shut him up.
So I would have said if they would have beat Bama and the season kind of would have kept on going like it's been, there might be a chance Jimbo hops for LSU, but man, it's hard to leave all that money on the table in College Station. I mean, I don't think you're going to get that kind of salary in Baton Rouge no doubt. So it would just be.
What about all the idiot Alabama fans calling for Saban to be fired on the message board?
They're just
Really?
just clowns.
What do you
Just
expect?
clown. It's just internet goobers.
Whole bunch of
We
rednecks
all
that
have
go
our
after the
moments.
first
I
round. They gotta
mean,
get angry at something.
we all have our moments. Yeah, you have FSU 80 over Miami in a few weeks.
Me?
Yeah.
80-2, right?
Nah,
What
not
do we
this
got
year.
now?
78 zip.
I was expecting to say 96-3.
78 zip.
So
Shut
still the
out.
same point shaving, the same. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Florida State pulls out a nail biter, 78-0.
We're all fun on the internet. See, we all have our moments.
I'm putting the over under now on Jermaine Johnson with 5 sacks on Van Dyke.
Damn. Woo.
I'm going
I think
over 5.5.
Yeah, Miami is hurting that quarterback.
They're hurting that offensive line
everywhere.
That receiver.
Manny's hurting.
Manny's vagina is completely swollen, so it's great to see.
Does Manny make it to November?
At this point,
I think
at this point you kind of have to, man. Like unless you fire him with like 2 games left, and
we all thought that about Taggart. Like, they'll do something at the end of the season, but then
this is gonna be the Willie Taggart revenge game. Miami came into Tallahassee, kicked Florida State's ass. Taggart got fired. Now Miami's gonna come into Tallahassee, get their ass kicked, and Diaz is gonna get fired.
Who's Miami's next game?
Who cares?
North Carolina, isn't it this weekend?
Oh yeah, they do play.
So they're gonna lose to Carolina, and then the heat's gonna be on for Diaz. Like, I think it's a real question. How do they look versus Carolina? And then, if they go out there and just get blasted, do they go ahead and part ways and try to get into that race with the coaching spots are rumored to be open? Rumored, USC, they're probably not going to keep the guy they have now. LSU rumored to be opening up. Miami rumored to be opening up. So they're going to have to get out there.
Here's the remaining schedule, by the way. So at Carolina this week, home
Loss.
against NC State the week after.
Loss.
At Pitt.
Pitt's going to put up 15 points. That's the number 1 offense in the country right now.
Home against Georgia Tech.
Close.
At Florida State.
Loss.
Home against Virginia Tech.
Loss.
And at Duke, which would probably be a
win.
Close.
So they have maybe
50-50
2
win.
wins left. Maybe 2 wins.
Legit, that's a tough schedule.
That's a tough schedule. Especially those road games at Carolina, at FSU, at Pitt.
That's what I think. That's kind of what FSU fans were looking at, and on the back end of the schedule, I think it's kind of flipped. Miami's got a tougher schedule, and FSU doesn't look as daunting as it did 2 months ago.
It's still tough. It's
tough, but
it's still tough.
36.75% making the bowl.
It's tough, but it looks more doable. 100%.
Yeah. I'd love to see. I hope Miami finishes the year losing every damn game.
Would be hilarious. Speaking of
they
Miami,
have to beat Miami. They have to beat Miami this year.
Yeah. Well,
they have to.
You got to.
They have to.
Speaking of Miami, former Miami commit Brian Robinson is going to be entering the transfer portal. This one kind of came out of nowhere, fellas, to me at least, a little bit. I understand maybe not playing as much, dealing with injuries and health and stuff, but talented guy, 4-star coming out of his class. Can make plays. He had flashes in the spring game. What do we think happened here? Do we think it's just health things, maybe not getting enough time playing? But I don't think he's had even really much of the opportunity this season because of injury.
It's a little bit of both, really. I mean, on a receiver depth chart that's begging for talent, he hasn't really been able to break into it, and part of it's because of injury. So it's you can't have one without the other in this situation, honestly.
Yeah,
got to be available.
Yeah. And that goes into what I was going to say. He was terrific last year in fall camp as a true freshman. Then he suffered an ankle injury that really set him back for the rest of that year. Like you said, Logan, had a good spring. Then you come into the fall, he missed some time again, and he just hasn't been able to crack the rotation. It's unfortunate because, former 4-star prospect, a really talented guy, and Florida State was happy to win out in this recruitment. If I remember correctly, he was committed to Miami before Florida State hired Ron Dugans, and then he ended up flipping after that hire, and another Taggart guy out the door.
Yep, not wrong. So, best of luck to him. It's just weird timing. You go up there and beat North Carolina, and who knows? It could have been Sunday, most likely, under the transfer portal. Norvell just didn't seem. There was one of the media members asked a question about it and asked about how that conversation goes. Does he get to talk to each one of them individually whenever they decide to enter the transfer portal? But he just didn't seem too happy about that one. He said sometimes the conversations go well, and sometimes they're short and sweet. And so, just didn't seem too happy. Didn't seem too happy.
I think that one was a little bit of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe, the kid can get a fresh start and, get his body healthy. And it's unfortunate that
kind of situation.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it couldn't happen at Florida State because the kid does have talent. But you got to stay healthy, and he hasn't been able to do that. So, sometimes you just get bit by the bug, and you can't shake that. So, for him, focus on getting his mind and his body right. And, I do wish him success because he is a talented player. And you hate to see injuries derail careers. So,
yeah,
makes it even more imperative they go out and get Kevin Coleman and still get a guy in the transfer portal because they got to get talent in that room.
They have to.
Destin Hill, January, please.
Yeah, so Hill's got to happen, Coleman's got to happen, and now they really have to look at whether it's the portal or do you evaluate and look at bringing in 1 or 2 more high school kids because you can't build continuity by hitting the portal every year, but you gotta at least get 1 more high school kid in this class.
Come on, Fleming's got they one of the fan Twitters said how many retweets?
Fleming's 2023.
But he was supposed to commit. They had a lot of retweets on his tweet there. Dang it. Yeah. That hasn't happened yet. Dang.
But again,
I really thought that was gonna happen. Dang it.
You look at the receiver board for 2022, the class, it's not a pretty sight.
Slim pickings.
Not too gorgeous. Let's talk a little bit of Treshaun Ward and Jermaine Johnson, fellas, real quick before we talk practices and move on. Treshaun Ward, graded as the top running back in the country per Pro Football Focus. He was ranked great as 90.8, just above Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. And then fellow Memphis guy, Rodriguez Clark. This is coming off of Treshaun Ward's best game of his career, running for 77 yards against North Carolina. But he's getting a lot of love. I got to hear during practice today, right after the water break, David Johnson yelling at him and saying, Treshaun Ward, stop looking at the damn articles and get over here. So he might be taking a peek at a little bit of the love he's getting. This is a walk-on guy. He deserves it. He's worked his tail off to get here, but by far has been, I think, one of my top offensive players, if not offensive MVP to start off the season. He's played great. He's hard to tackle. He's as physical. I was like, Jarquez Patrick was extremely physical, but he is moving down the field and not like, I don't know. He's just playing different than I thought he was because I know he's shifty. He can move around that backspin to, finish off the game against North Carolina. Like, that was beautiful, and he's shifty and can juke. But, Treshaun Ward is having a phenomenal start to the season. And, you got to think this is just his true first year playing for Florida State. If you think about it, we've seen little flashes here and there, but this is his true first season at Florida State.
So Willie Taggart's best get was a walk-on. But he's not a typical walk-on. Turning down 13 or 14 Division I offers, was going to go to Maryland, chose to walk on at FSU, which is, we talked a lot about him, even in the offseason, about him maybe being the most talented running back. Even last year, a lot of people feeling that he was the most gifted running back, and it came down to just learning the plays and developing into a college running back, and that seems like it's all coming together for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the mindset. He's put in the work. He's got the ability. You've seen it the last 2 weeks. He showed the speed against Syracuse with that 65-yard run, and then he showed the power and the shiftiness against North Carolina on that last offensive possession. 3rd down and 2, gets hit in the backfield, bounces off 2 defenders, and runs for a first down to help Florida State run out the clock. So, I mean, man, he's just been simply terrific as a second option behind Deshaun Corbin, and he's gotten more involved over the last 2 or 3 weeks than he was to start the season. I think that's another reason that Florida State's offense has really started clicking. I mean, you look at Deshaun Corbin and Treshaun Ward, they're 13 and 14 in the country in yards per carry. You've got 2 workhorses. Let these guys go run it up.
He's been a pleasant surprise, definitely, to begin the season midway through, but you've got 2 solid, even more than solid, you got really good running backs right now for Florida State, and their threat right now on offense is getting down the field, and they're hard to tackle. So Treshaun Ward, shout out to him, top graded running back in the country per Pro Football Focus with a 90.8 grading. Damn,
I'd be interested to see where Corbin falls on that list, because I mean,
yeah,
he's had a heck of a year as well.
Yeah, I was about to say he can't be too much farther.
If it weren't for his fumble early in the year, he'd probably be a little bit. He'd probably be in that top 15, top 12.
Let's talk about a really good football player for Florida State right now, and that's Jermaine Johnson. Currently leads the Power 5 in sacks, along with many other things. I think tackle for loss too might be
and total tackles, I think.
Yeah,
total tackles.
Jermaine Johnson
as a defensive end.
Yeah, the DN. Yeah, as a DN, but absolutely fantastic start to the season so far. He most recently was named as a a semifinalist for the Lombardi Trophy. My tabs are like slowly falling apart here, but yeah, semifinalist for the Lombardi Trophy. Much well deserved to him. He's been absolutely doing his thing. I think we're giving highlights to a lot of the players this last weekend, but I mean, Jermaine Johnson is just Jermaine Johnson. He's just going to get there, and I think the biggest thing that the fans love is him obliterating Sam Howell there, and I think that just kind of was it for Sam, just done for the game, if it wasn't already, but just kind of went night there.
Yeah,
only thing I would have loved went night, Dad.
The only thing I would have loved more is if Sam Howell would have fumbled whenever Jermaine Johnson hit him from behind like that. But off the edge in the running game, Jermaine Johnson, he's always around the football. He's different, especially a year after Nate mentioned the guys earlier, but Florida State had a supposedly touted defensive line going into 2020, and it didn't transpire, and there wasn't as high hopes this year. And Jermaine Johnson has just come out and just straight up blossomed after transferring in from Georgia to be an every down defensive end. And he's got a good chance of being a first round pick in the 2022 NFL draft if he keeps us up the back half of the season.
How good is Georgia? To
be able to say, okay, it's fine if you leave us.
You're a situational passer. Remember last year, he was in the top 30 in terms of being in pass rush efficiency. So it's not like it's necessarily a big surprise. The guy's gifted. It's just really seeing him getting more reps, which equals more, just more havoc and more domination.
And then one last thing regarding some football here, practice observations from the last 2 practices. Noah and I were there on Tuesday, along with this morning. I would have to say Tuesday's practice overall, I mean, there was some energy. Just, I think guys were worn out, a little tired, still resting from, their trip up to Chapel Hill and getting that win. So a little here and there, but today, I mean, it was almost a whole 180. Guys making plays, energy was there. I mean, Jordan Travis had a nice throw over the safety to Malik McLean, which Malik had a really pretty catch on it too, but scored for 6 on team drill, and it was beautiful. The team loved it. They were all over each other today. I mean, guys were making plays. One of my favorite things from today was this little scene where Marion Cooper was in, young freshman, and he was one-on-one there with Jordan Young. And Jordan Young also had a really good day today. I know people want to hear about him, but he had a really good day today. But Jammy was on the sideline kind of chirping up Amarian Cooper, saying, you got this, stick him. And sure enough, Amarian Cooper runs him off into the sideline for no really any reason whatsoever, but just getting the freshman all hyped up, and Jammy and all the DBs are running and jumping on the freshman. And then the next play, it's Amarian Cooper versus Portier. And Portier's he's a big wide receiver. That's a physical guy at wide receiver. And Portier, one-on-one situation. Norvell's loving it. He's watching, and he watches them go at it one-on-one, and it's a go route. And Portier mosses him right there on the sideline. And all the offense is loving. Jammy's like, no, how'd this happen? And the young freshman learns his lesson there. But Norvell loved it. He was like, oh, thank God my offensive guy got it. But, and then to finish off team today, they did a lot of team, or, had a little bit of extra practice afterwards and in the IPF. And Trevor Purdy was having a really nice, solid drive for about 50 yards. And then once they got into the red zone around the 10-yard line, threw a pass, didn't really need to be maybe thrown. And McLuster, linebacker, actually got the interception. And I'm pretty sure Norvell jumped all the way up to his chest, I think, along with all the rest of the defensive side of the ball. And some of the coaches, even Coach Marr, was just hitting them and loving it. But there's a big emphasis on takeaways, and that's what Mike Norvell is giving a lot of praise to, guys. Getting those takeaways. No matter who you are, he's going to come jump on you and absolutely give you all the praise in the world. So, but a lot of energy. It was a fun day. It was beautiful out, but a lot of guys making plays. And Malik McLean, I mean, the last 2 days, I'd say the winner out of the last 2 days was Malik McLean. He is going to have a solid career at Florida State. That's an easy bet, I think, for anyone to see. He's a solid wide receiver, to say the least. And he's big. And the thing is, I think he runs the prettiest routes on the team right now for how big he is. And he runs those kind of routes with speed. It's gonna be fun to watch that. But make sure you guys go in the Patreon to get the rest of the scoop there. Noah and I dropped at least 50 plus notes from practices from the last 2 days. The schedule for the rest of the week is that right now players will either go home, or like Norvell said today, they will go to classes if they're not virtual, but they are going to have rest until Sunday. A nice solid break there. As we talked about earlier, Dustin wasn't a big fan of them being dressed out Tuesday and Wednesday. They're going to get some rest. There's definitely some need there. But I think the guys are needing a nice little break, but a lot of energy today. It's good to see a lot of physicality. And that's something you'd like to see midway in the season, even after a big win too, and on a bye week. So let's jump into some basketball. Before we do that, we get to finally introduce this, something we've been in the works for a little while now. We are now officially sponsored by Celsius, the drink brand here. Absolutely amazing company. I've got this along with, I'm pretty sure, well over 60 of these things. I've even got more over here by me. I need to give some of these out to the rest of the guys on here. I know Dustin has been needing some caffeine with how much he writes. I mean, he's just such a beast on that keyboard.
What flavors you got?
This flavor right here is my favorite. So I like the sparkling kind. So if you guys don't know much about Celsius, it is practically kind of like your energy drink, but it's a lot more better for your body. When I have them, well, I'll tell you the one that I have. I have sparkling strawberry guava right here. Gorgeous tasting. I like a little bit of the fizz. I'm a fizz guy. If you don't like fizz, then they also have some without the fizz. But these have 200 milligrams of caffeine, central energy, accelerates metabolism, burns body fat. And one thing that I've noticed since I've been doing this, I've been drinking it for about a week and a half now, and I have them in the morning. is that I don't like crash. That's one thing that I know a lot of other energy drinks do. You drink them, and then you crash later on. This keeps me good, and it doesn't have that kind of, your brain isn't going wild and going crazy. I love these so far. You can grab these anywhere at a retailer nearby. We also have a code that you guys can use. They're a big one this October that they're pushing for is the Fuji Taste. It is a Fuji Apple Pear Celsius. Also tastes really good. I had one this morning before FSU's football practice. I was zoned in, dialed in. I used to drink a lot of coffee, but I feel like these are a lot more solid for me at least. But if you guys want to, down in the YouTube description, we have a code that you guys can use, 20 FSU Fuji. It's down below. Click that link, 20% off. You can use it through your Amazon account. So if you guys haven't tried one yet, I highly suggest doing it, but definitely take advantage of our deal first. Grab you a 12-pack, 6-pack, or definitely just go by a retailer like a Publix or somewhere and go grab one. They taste amazing, but a 20% off right now through the Amazon link all throughout October, but it's only through while supplies last. So keep that in mind. But these are awesome. I give these to the guys before the end of the week. I'll be shipping a lot of these to them, so they'll give their take on it too. But wonderful brand, and love being able to work with them. They've been awesome to us so far. So definitely go check that out. The code is in the description. Gentlemen, let's get into some basketball and end this thing off so we can enjoy the rest of this bye week. Austin, you were in attendance for it. First time being you've been around the team closer than any of us have ever been, but this time you're a credentialed media member. How'd that feel? But you're in Charlotte for the ACC Tipoff, my man. How'd it feel? What was the vibes? You're the LA FSU outlet there. What are we doing?
It's pretty cool. You go into registration, say my last name. They had it ready. Name was spelled right, which I was thrilled with. It said No Game Day, not Sports Illustrated or SI Now. It said No Game Day. That was also pretty cool. And from there, I got there 45 minutes before FSU had their press conference. So I just walked around a little bit, kind of got what the vibe was like, seeing what other kind of questions were being asked. Hamilton Plate and Malik had their press conference at 11:45. Pretty basic questions. Pretty much half the questions Coach Hamilton got were about Roy Williams and Coach K leaving the ACC, which I know he was probably a little bit frustrated with. And then is your typical questions from there from North Carolina media. How is Florida State as a national brand? How's Florida State keep rebuilding? How's Florida State keep getting this talent? And Ham was Ham saying, we don't really care much about respect. It's something you earn. We're not going anywhere. Florida State's here to stay. That's what you expect your head coach to say. And then Polite and Malik are just such great representatives of Florida State. Just great guys on and off the court. Both of them recognized me immediately, which I figured they would, but especially being the only FSU media member there from any outlet.
Did Coach Ham recognize you, though?
Coach Ham did not recognize me, and I did not expect him to.
Come on.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
Any of the assistants would have recognized me. Any of the support staff would have recognized me. I didn't expect him to recognize me.
But, hey, you were the Coach. FSU outlet. The whole game day was the FSU outlet. We care about basketball here, as we should. I mean, it's been the one that's kept there are some other great FSU sports. Let's don't get us wrong here, but basketball has kept a lot of fans afloat here. Let's be honest, and we're showing that we're here to, do our coverage as need be. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry,
we sent Austin to Charlotte and everything.
Yeah, we sent him. We put a private jet, 5-star hotel.
You didn't just conveniently happen to live there or anything like that.
It's not like I live 20 minutes away.
No.
Have a speed pass for the interstates, things like that.
No. I bought that pass for you for that day. It was like $3. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. But the highlight of the day, at least from according to my mentions, was I was asked Malik Osborne, who's the guy that slept on this year, and I was expecting like a Cam Fletcher who's not really being talked about. We'll get to that in a second. But he said we all fly under the radar. Everyone at Florida State slept on. Went to talk about the staff, how Florida State has such a great staff. All the players. I mean, he named 6 or 7 different players, but the one that stuck out to me was he mentioned Raekwon Evans, was a guy that had flashes last year, but also struggled towards the end of last year. That's a guy people are really looking to see what he's going to do this year. And Malik made a point that made real point to talk about Raekwon Evans. I asked Coach Ham about Cameron Fletcher after he was asked about Caleb Mills. And he said Fletcher's got great energy, really willing to learn, very coachable. It's exactly what you want to hear after a guy that, we talked about a lot the last couple of weeks. He's had a really weird first year at Kentucky, transfers to Tallahassee, and everything we've heard so far is he's been nothing but a great influence on the program. Said Caleb Mills is a much better player than he anticipated as an all-around guy, can distribute the ball, defend really well. Obviously, he's a great scorer. There's a lot of high hopes with this team. Polite talked about being able to step into that senior role that, that Trent Forrest had, that MJ Walker had, Terrence Mann. These guys that can bring the young guys along when they're in a rough spot. It's what you want to hear out of a senior leader. It was a good overall experience. The big guys represented the university well. Had a lot of fun while they were doing it. I think they're ready to make some noise this year.
How many times did Leonard Hamilton smile? Do we have a counter for that?
A few. A few. Okay. He's still limping from his Achilles injury. And he was walking off the press conference, and one of the media guys was like, getting old isn't fun, is it? And he goes, what are you talking about? I'm 25. And lots of walking away. It was typical Coach Ham stuff, but he's pretty laid back.
Same old as he hasn't changed.
He's laid back on days like this. He really just doesn't smile on the court. That's pretty much it. Off the court, he's laid back.
Is that just thing he does because he knows cameras on him, or is it just he just zoned in? He's just zoned in. Yeah,
just locked in. Yeah.
Yeah. How is he at practices? That's what I want to know.
Very. It's kind of like the games. He's very in tune. He kind of has a CEO role where he's just overseeing everything, and then he'll point things out here or there. He just trusts his staff so much, as he should. He's been with Coach Jones for 20 years. CY's been there since 2013, 2012. He just has faith in these guys that they know what they're doing, obviously, and he'll interject when he needs to, but he'll sit on the side and observe practice.
Mm-hmm. Any big takeaways from any other teams while you were there? Hearing anything or
not really. It was your typical stuff for media day. Like no one's going to say something outlandish that they're going to get in trouble for. The biggest takeaway is the coaches are going to be able to wear polos again. I know they're all happy about that.
Now we're talking headlines, baby.
Yeah, they're super excited, especially Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. That dude was beaming that he was able to stay in a polo this year. I was more taken away with some of the representatives that some of the schools brought. Like Virginia didn't bring Kihei Clark. I was a little surprised by that. Clemson brought Hunter Tyson. I was pretty surprised by that. But yeah, other than that, pretty typical media day stuff.
I'm excited for basketball season. You said you're tired now, Austin, at the beginning of this. What are we going to look like in 2 months from now? I'm kind of worried. And we've got help. We got Jacob.
So just a little insight to what's going on with me. The store I work for is extending their hours for holiday season. So I'm about to be really tired for the next couple of months.
Oh, my goodness gracious. God.
A little tired.
All right, Jacob. We got to get Jacob in there. He's going to help us out this season.
Another thing I did see from the ACC Media Day, though, was the commissioner was talking about the conference's TV deal with Xfinity, and it sounds like they have some confidence that they're going to be able to get that done, hopefully before this basketball season gets started.
God.
But I mean, heck,
That's
we've
exactly
heard that
what he
time
said.
and time again.
He said
for
that at
2 or 3 years. So
we can only hope. I mean, there's a lot of fans on Comcast and Xfinity that just can't get the ACC network, and that's where a lot of basketball games are going to be, especially for Florida State.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then he said that in the ACC kickoff, and I remember just a couple of weeks ago that they were testing it on Xfinity for like a few hours.
It was a mistake.
And then it was a mistake, but they were definitely testing. You don't just let that happen. So they're screwing around with it. So I wonder if there is something imminent, but I don't know. I don't trust the ACC with anything, so I don't think anybody should either. But yeah, definitely losing a lot of viewers. But one good thing that we learned too. Terrence Mann, big time. This is a busy last couple of days, definitely on the basketball side of things. But Terrence Mann just got extended 2 years, $22 million with the LA Clippers. Had a big time year last year, and seems like still not in the starting five, right?
No.
He might be this year just because Kawhi's out for most of the year, but I'm pretty sure he'll still come off the bench.
What do you think about that, Dustin?
I think he's going to be like your 6-man type of guy, and he'll be like a spot starter at times, but probably more of a presence off the bench.
True. Yeah, but $22 million, man.
It's been a great journey for him. The deal puts him through the end of the 24-25 season. Just because he still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. He was one of those few second-round picks that got a fully guaranteed 4-year deal straight out the draft. Just because he played so well that first summer league. Usually a lot of those second-round guys, they get a 2-way deal. He outperformed himself, got the 4-year guaranteed deal. Now I wonder if he almost regrets taking a contract that long. So now he's got to wait a couple extra years to cash in, but great opportunity for him. He really showed up in these playoffs. Obviously, I mentioned in the article, having that 39-point outburst, Game 6, Western Conference semis.
Mm-hmm.
He was a major reason they made the Western Conference Finals, and it's a big reason why he got paid.
He definitely got himself, a nice little deal. It's good to see him get paid, but man, imagine if he wouldn't have signed an extension right now, would have played out this whole year while Kawhi is out, gotten all that extra time, and hopefully continued to grow after what he did last season. We might be talking about a $50 million deal.
I thought he was going to, if he was to hit the open market, I thought he'd sign in that 3 years, $40 million range, just because he's got the length, he's got the athleticism, and that 3-ball really showed up this year. He shot 43% from 3 last year. He does that for another year. You're looking at really cashing in after that offseason, but he's a loyal guy. I'm sure he's paying back some of that loyalty to the Clippers.
Former Here to Spear alum. Got to get him back on here. We should have had him on here to talk about that contract signing.
I'm sure he's a little bit busy celebrating.
I can't be given that much money.
Tell him throw us 5%.
Yeah, we did the job here. We helped get his reach out there and helped his brand. We got to get him on. See if he's. I don't know when does the season actually start?
Next week.
Less than, you have to say 10 days.
Awesome, great. Everything with timing is not working out for us. Oh man, I'm not even gonna say anything more. Dang it. Let's see what we got here, and then to finish it off, Kabengele gets let go by the Cavaliers. What is going on with his career in the pros, Austin and Dustin? What is happening? Or so much promise.
It's not the talent. I mean, you talk to any of the teams he's played for. It's not about the talent. It's about opportunity. The Clippers last year had, or I guess the year before, they had Montrezl Harrell, and they bring in Serge Ibaka, and they bring in DeMarcus Cousins. It's like, don't really have a spot. Let's get rid of him. Trade him to Sacramento. They waive him just because it's not a guy they're really looking for. Signs with Cleveland, played all right for a few games in Cleveland. Then they go out, trade for Jared Allen. Then they draft Evan Mobley. It's just one of those things where opportunity's not there. It's just move on from him. He's got all the talent in the world. No one's doubting that. It's just he's got to get the right chance.
Yeah, I mean, he's got talent, but he's also got to be able to put it together consistently. So I think it would do him good, hopefully to latch on with a team somewhere on a 2-way deal, spend some more time in the G League, really getting some reps, and then making some opportunities with the main club when he does get a chance.
I'd love to see him in Dallas because he'd feed off those passes from Luka, especially a guy that can hit the corner 3 like that.
We got to get Nate at Celsius.
Celtics still need. We got one 2-way spot left, so not opposed on throwing it to a former Noel.
I just need the basketball team to suck so Florida State football can get back to this special spot. So
it's gonna be Austin versus Nate here in a couple months.
Yeah, I'm convinced Florida State losing Julian Phillips in recruiting battle meant Florida State went up and smacked North Carolina. Can't have one without the other.
One positive, one negative.
Yeah.
RG's saying that Nate needs a Celsius. Most certainly does. This has been a
Fahrenheit.
What is a Fahrenheit?
It's a really bad joke.
Oh,
Are you about
I
to be a
get it
dad and we
now.
don't
I
know
get
it?
it now. I get it now. Yeah. Are you?
Is
about
there
to be a
something you're not
dad?
telling us?
Oh my god. I need a fair Boo.
Pardon.
Don't hurt his feelings. He muted at the right time. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see what else we got on here. I don't think there's anything more. What's the word on Marvin Jones Jr.? The weekly question of Marvin Jones Jr.
Nothing different.
There we go.
Watch out
He'll
for
be at Florida
Oklahoma.
State in November.
Oklahoma.
Watch out for
Yep.
Oklahoma.
Is Florida State recruiting any good linebackers? Where's that linebacker piece? Nate, Larry's asking.
I gotta finish it. I'll get it out in a couple days.
He wants it really badly.
It'll be a good bye week piece. 17 linebackers that Florida State should be recruiting. Legitimately, 17 of them.
I think it'd be a good piece. Larry, stay on the lookout for that. That's NoleGameDay.com. And Carol says you guys are too much. We're funny to watch. Thank you, Carol. Always on here Wednesday nights. We love Carol. Carol, if you do love us more, check out that code down below. Click that link. I'm just kidding with you. I'm playing with you. But if you do have Amazon Prime, 20% off. I'm telling you. The best drinks. I need one. I got to edit this and put it out tonight and get it out. So get some articles ready. I'm the main editor here at NoleGameDay.com, so it's not easy. This week, it's really busy. Thank you, Dustin, for your help, as always, on the show. But, gentlemen, I think that's going to wrap it up. We do always appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Like I said, go check out Celsius. I can't say it enough. We're going to talk about them for the next couple months. So, great brand and happy to be working with them. Make sure you use the code. Use the code 20FSU FUJI 20FSU Fuji. Link is down below with the code. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. If you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube right now, I would definitely appreciate it. If you hit the like button, a lot of y'all have been saying y'all have been liking the stream. So love that y'all are hanging out with us and interacting with us, bringing up some really great questions and topics that, we don't ever have on the docket, but y'all are bringing it up to our attention. So definitely appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Enjoy.
Wait.
Whoa.
Wait. Shout out to Travis Hunter, best recruit in the history of college football.
There it is. We made it.
You were tired, but he's still able to do it. I appreciate that.
Only
I respect that.
8 months podcast to get there.
And shout out to Derwin James with his 14 tackles in the first half and 17 tackles total.
The best from a defensive player since 2005, if I'm correct. Derwin James going off. Yeah, and good luck to my Steelers against the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football prime time. The logo hits differently, baby. We're back. We are back. And Austin just left. Or Nate just left the stream.
Also, quick shout out. A shout out you don't normally expect the ACC for getting us credentialed so fast for ACC Media Day. And I'll have an opportunity to select preseason bouts, preseason player of the year. Shout out the ACC.
Slight flex.
Well, you know
from
what?
Beezy.
Shout out the ACC for putting Nole Game Day on the press credential. Respect.
I like that.
Can't get that from some other places.
Nate, any shout outs? Any shout outs from you?
Nah. Shout out to myself.
Justin Fields.
Shout out to myself.
I wouldn't have thought anything differently. That's exactly how we need to end the show. I wouldn't have thought of anything differently. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of y'all's week, and we'll talk to you guys next week, Wednesday night. Only one pod this week. No instant reaction. Wednesday night. Enjoy.
You want to do a bye week instant reaction?
We should do an instant reaction to Carolina beat Miami 52-1.
52-1. They're gonna get an extra point safety. Is that what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, we gotta get off here. All right. Enjoy the weekend.